Hello folks, welcome to the bottom of my garden. Today we're going to have a bit of a behind the scenes at the kitchen garden with Eli and Kate, because basically today I'm going to show you guys how I make my videos. Now, an important point to make on this one, this is not a how to make a video exactly, so it's not going to be one of these really boring sort of in-depth things all about exposure and all that kind of thing if you're not into it. It's more the fun of how I make the videos in this garden, just so you can get an idea of what's going on. And I'm going to cut lots of behind the scenes footage in, but the equipment stuff I'm going to talk about, I'm going to keep it really light touch and fun, okay? Because I'm using equipment that I am in no way telling you guys you need to use, okay? I want to make that clear. Some of you are going to be shocked at the equipment I use to film, and it's not necessary. It's my choice for what I do. Let's start with a general big wide shot showing you all the equipment I use to film when I'm filming over in the beds. So let me give you a wee bit of background onto this one. For what I'm going to be doing today, I've actually got 4 cameras on the go, including this one here, okay? So I've got a couple of these GoPros, because these are great for the really in-depth little shots, and I'll show you more about that. They're also fabby for time lapses when we're doing big jobs and stuff. You can see here, so we've got the camera, but it's attached to this monitor, okay? Now the reason for that is my eyesight's not as good as it used to be, and I struggle to see the tiny little screens on the cameras. So some days I've got that big monitor plugged in just to kind of help me out, because quite often I can't see it properly and I end up cutting my head off. May as well just have one while I'm here. Can you have a look on that monitor and see if you can see me? It's turned away from me, so I can't actually see it.
Yes, you're fine.
It's fine, all looks good.
On the edge of shot, so you've got you, all of that bed, and all of the next bed.
When you say on the edge, how on the edge? I'm off the screen any?
No,
there's a gap. Perfect. Okay. This is what's called a field monitor, an external monitor, okay? Now, if I turn this so you can see it, the reason I've got this is because my eyesight absolutely sucks. And to give you an idea of what it's like trying to film on a camera with a little screen. So let me see. Don't know how bright it's going to be to show you. But if I look at this camera that's actually filming just now, that is, as you can see, a much easier thing for me to see if I'm way back here. Okay? So that's why I have that field monitor. So as I said, it's a lot of equipment and it can be a real pain in the neck, I have to be honest. But you'll see me doing this an awful lot, and without the smaller screen, sorry, without the bigger screen, I really struggle. But one of the other big challenges that I've had over the last year, and I really struggle with, is light. Now, right now, the sun is right there and it's baking down on top of me. So chances are, and here's some techie words coming at you, chances are right now all the highlights are completely blown out, because this is one of the difficulties when you don't use an automatic type camera to film. So all the guys that film on their phones probably don't have this issue, because it's what's called automatic, and it means that actually the computer in the phone is making all of the decisions for you about how it films. Whereas the way I do things, sound is another thing we'll talk about in a second. So the way I do things is I control everything. So that's why I'm talking to you about how it's difficult when you've got to think about light. Both, like now when it's really bright and it's right baking right in my face, that affects stuff. But also if it's dark, it's really difficult. So that's why you'll see I don't really ever do any videos sort of in the evenings, because it's just too dark and you can't see anything, okay? Now, I actually have other cameras as well. It's not usually just that one camera that's filming. I also will always have at least one GoPro out with me, and I've got different types of kind of arms that hold it. Now, if I've got the big DSLR camera that I use all the time. Why do I have a GoPro as well? Well, quite simply, that big camera can't get into all the little places I want to get to when I want to show you guys things. So you know how when I'm in the beds sowing seeds and I might cut in and you get a real close-up, or even that time when I'm pulling beetroot and you got a real close-up and you got to see it. All of that is done on the GoPro because it's small and I can get it in really close, and it's got a super wide angle lens. We're going to talk about that in a second, and it's handy. So I've got this arm for it, which means I can attach it somewhere and bend this and move it around, and it's really convenient. But also I've got this kind of selfie stick thing. So there's some pruning that needs to get done, and I'm going to start with that out the front. I'm going to show you some tricks for pruning that turns into a tripod, so I can have the GoPro on that and sit it down somewhere. So here's a wee spot I've not sat on and filmed for a while. I spent a wee while back in the early days, we used to start all the videos off from here because it was one of my wee spots where I used to sit with a cup of tea. Whereas now I've got my two spots down at the bottom of the garden, one by the strawberry planters and one right down there, so I don't sit here as often. But I said I was going to talk to you about sound, and this is a big deal. We mentioned about all the equipment and how you really don't need sort of proper DSLR cameras. You can film these videos on your mobile phone, and mobile phone video footage these days is absolutely amazing. You're talking HD as a minimum, and some phones now are doing 4K, and I've even seen one that does 8K. But the thing is, a mobile phone video quality might be amazing, but the audio is often quite poor. And that's something that's really important if you're doing a video that you want someone to actually sit and watch more than, say, 30 seconds of. Someone will watch a 30-second, maybe a 1-minute video with bad sound. They're not going to sit through 10 minutes. It's going to drive them nuts. And there's a lot of evidence that supports this from studies showing that people will watch poor quality video footage if the audio is good, but not the vice versa. So I started out, and one of the things I did, my very, very first videos, which most of you guys have probably never even seen, because I've done videos before I started doing this stuff on this channel. But originally when I made videos, they were for the blog that we have. So I'll put the blog channel below, and I'll link it in the description, all the usual. But originally when I did videos, they were purely to go on our blog page. It's just a little short thing just for folk for a bit of fun. But because I do a lot of video stuff for work, I thought, actually, I prefer doing video, and given that I have dyslexia, I find it much easier to communicate in a video than I do of sitting trying to write something. It takes me a long time to write something. So that was a long story short to say that when I started, it was just my little mobile phone, and I learned very quickly how poor the sound can be. So we're in the greenhouse today because I've got a bit of potting on to do. So the first mic I bought was this one. Okay, this is called a shotgun mic. And you can see it's plugged into the camera, but you get a connection for these to plug them into your phone as well. Now the reason it's really furry is it's got a cover on it. Now it's quite a horrible name, but these covers are called dead cats. But the idea is that it tries to eliminate some of the wind noise, because if you're filming outdoors you will get a lot of problems with wind, even when it's not windy, just a breeze, and trust me, you will get a real issue with the sound. So I lasted a little while with this one, and it did okay, and you can hear a difference from the very early videos to this one, or to the videos with this one. Hey folks, as you can see, gorgeous, gorgeous, actual real sunny day and hot. In the greenhouse, super hot. It's about 35 in the greenhouse, so apologies for the mad floppy humid hair because it is just really sweaty and hot. But because of the wind in the garden, I did switch to what's called a tie clip. And it's these, or in America I think they get called lavalier mics. But essentially there is a little microphone in my pocket. Hang on. Little tiny thing here, and it's connected to this mic, but that's a transmitter, and it transmits to a receiver that's on the camera over here. So I'm going to show you that. So this is the receiver here, and it's plugged in to the camera there. Okay. So what you can see is it's really small. This one's quite big, so it's no use for things like the GoPro because it hangs over the front of the camera and you can see it. Whereas that one is actually nice and small and compact, and it works with almost everything, and it also works with the phone, so it's handy. And again, if you're interested in this stuff, there's a link in my description. All of my camera equipment, filming equipment, teaching equipment is actually linked on our gear page, okay? So I'll put the link in the description and you can go and look at this stuff if you want. But I'm just letting you see the stuff I use. There is no undertones here of you have to have this kit. You absolutely don't. I'm just telling you why I've got it. But yeah, so I switched from no microphone to this microphone, and then I switched to this microphone for better quality sound. And it's also a good thing because one of the other things that happens in this garden is Kate. So what we've got going then in here, I'm currently filming the autumn in the greenhouse video, or the prepping for autumn, but at the same time I've got all the other cameras running to do the other things with you, and I'll cut in and out sometimes and chat. So you're going to get footage of me filming today, filming the other week, and other bits and pieces in. Some you've probably never even seen. But right now Kate is outside filming me in the greenhouse, because what we're going to do is try and show you what it's like to try and film in the greenhouse. Because it's not as big as people think, and I actually struggle to get equipment in here. So right now, because I've got the tripod in here, I can barely move because it takes up a lot of floor space. So chances of me being able to actually work in here when I'm doing tidying things, it's impossible. And Kate is also out there at the minute. She's just moved and she's trying to film from there to show you again the size and what it's actually like. And she's now currently complaining because I'm wearing a green top and she's struggling to find me in amongst the tomatoes. So I'll let her do her thing, which is awesome. Thank you. She doesn't normally help out behind the camera like this. It's just when it's a difficult one. So that's awesome. But yes, so now here's one of the things about in the greenhouse. I'm currently filming on the GoPro, so sometimes you'll see that sort of there might be slight changes in colour and things even though I'm in the same spot, and it's probably because I've switched the cameras. I am not an expert in filming. I'm not good enough to make all the colours and lights and things match, and to be honest, I don't have time for that. So there's difficulties of that type of thing filming in here. So there's the light, but also the space. Now, I'm filming on the GoPro at the minute, so I can hold up this lens and show you. This is what's called a wide angle lens, and it makes everything look slightly wider. I'd like to say that includes me, but I don't think it's the camera lens that's to blame for that. Anyways, so this makes my greenhouse look a bit wider than it is, and it makes it better for me to film, because if I don't use a wide angle lens like this or the GoPro, you literally would just be getting kind of this much of me on the screen. It would cut everything else out, because there really is not a lot of space in here when you've got film equipment. So I'm going to switch to the main camera, I'm going to put this on, and then I'm going to show you things. I don't have the field monitor for when I'm in here, so I can't necessarily see this little screen as well as I would like, but I have to just cope because I don't have the space. But I use that tripod arm, as I've said, when I'm out in the garden to get good close-in shots, because it's really adaptable about where I can put it, which means when I'm in here I can clip it onto shelves, I can clip it onto the kind of beams on the roof, I can hand hold it. So when I do a lot of those shots showing you me potting on in here and putting soil in pots, planting things, or just when I take you around and show you how well things like the tomatoes are doing. That is usually done with a GoPro because I can hold it and move around the greenhouse and it doesn't take up a lot of space. So in here is probably the kind of place where filming on your phone would be really, really useful because it's small, you know, and it wouldn't get in the way. But why did I stop using my phone to film then? Okay, because I've said before that the quality of the phone footage is really, really good. The audio is not great, but you can get a mic that helps. Now, I'm probably going to give something away here. Now, this is a personal preference thing, guys, okay? So if I offend anyone that does this, that is not my intention. It's a personal preference thing. And as you know, and I've said before, with the issues I have with things like light and stuff, I can't cope with those videos where someone just films on a mobile phone like this. You know, the ones you see where they just kind of hold a phone and move it around and it's jumpy and wobbly and it moves quickly and stuff. I actually can't watch those types of things. They make me a bit queasy, and I know it's just a weird thing with me. So one of the things I started doing then was putting my phone on a tripod. And then once you start going down that route with the tripod and it's quite far away, you can't then zoom in because it doesn't have a zoom lens, all that kind of thing. I ended up realising that I'm probably just as well. I had a DSLR camera, because I'm a photographer anyway. So I just started using that because I had video footage or video availability on it. So I started using that. So that's one of the things. So I didn't go out, in the beginning, I didn't go out and buy a camera, a DSLR camera, just to do YouTube videos. I actually had one, but along the way I have bought a lot of equipment to make my videos better quality for you guys to watch, because if I've got multiple camera angles, it's more interesting for you guys that I can cut between them and show you things, but also it makes my life just a little bit easier for filming. I know some of you guys love when I do those shots when I walk around the garden holding the GoPro like this, and it makes it more interesting. It gives you a different feeling because you're kind of going with me and you can feel the distance between things in the garden. So I try to sometimes mix those kinds of things in as well. So let me take you indoors for the last thing I'm going to talk about then. And that is the whole process of researching videos and editing videos and that kind of thing. So we're indoors. Oh, it's been a hot and busy day, and I've just realised that I've got, because I was on campus today and cycling, I've been wearing a bike helmet and I've got really bad helmet head, and I've done this whole video with this do. So, ah well. So again, not everybody is interested in everything I'm talking about in this video, but there should be little daft snippets here and there for different people. But one of the things I got asked about was about how much time it takes me to make a video. So specifically, they wanted me to talk about the amount of footage I record and how long it takes to edit and stuff. And again, I don't want to go into lots of really heavy detail about it, but it might actually be interesting because if you're considering starting a YouTube channel, it might be useful for you to know just how long it takes to make videos, or to make the videos I make anyway. So one of the things about me then, right now, I'm like everyone else. I went on YouTube and watched 1,000,001 videos teaching you how to make YouTube videos. And quite a lot of it was brilliant advice, and some of it I keep in my head and I use some of it today still, but an awful lot of it wasn't relevant to the type of videos I'm doing. So almost none of them talk about what it's like to film outside, or specifically filming on your own, doing things outside when you can't control all the settings of the camera and do fancy shots and zooms and all that kind of thing. And that's the situation I'm in. I know quite a lot of folk think Kate operates the camera in the videos, and they're always saying, why isn't Kate on camera more? We like to see more of Kate. I'm afraid, guys, Kate is really not a big fan of being on camera. She's always around when I'm filming, but she doesn't really take part in the videos. She doesn't operate the cameras, anything like that. Although if I ask if there's a particular thing I'm struggling with, like last week, she operated the camera for me so that she could film through the greenhouse glass, because that's quite difficult to do. She'll do that, she's great, because she's always around in the garden when I'm filming, because generally we're filming what we're doing in the garden. And that has its own little issues, because Kate sometimes forgets when there's a camera and she'll walk in front of it. And this happened the other week where I did the beginning of this video and I filmed quite a lot of footage, but unfortunately Kate had walked in front of the camera at some point and changed the focus. So instead of having this footage of me making sort of videos and stuff, it's all incredibly blurry. It's just one of those things. This is real life. We're doing real life stuff. I'm trying to get a message across to you guys the best way I can, but having the amount of time it takes to do a video and putting out a video every single week is really hard going. So if you're considering your own YouTube channel, it's something to really think about, okay? Because it takes a lot of time and effort, and there is actually a lot of pressure on you. And this is a fantastic example. I laugh a lot about me waffling in the videos, and you guys go, oh, we love your waffly videos. So let me tell you about how much footage I usually film for one 10-minute video. There will easily be another hour's worth of footage that didn't make the video because I take too long to explain things. I stumble over my words. I mix things up. I forget to switch the mics on. Kate walks in front of the camera and knocks out the focus. There's also often hours and hours and hours of footage that doesn't exist because I forgot to hit record. There's a lot of stuff happens behind the scenes that you guys don't see. Yeah, like you don't often get to see my office. This is where all the editing happens. I'm trying to think of what to tell you guys and what you might be interested in. So one of the other things about me and how I do things, and it might be different to how you guys do things or other people, is I do not script my videos, okay? Now, that's not to say I don't plan my videos and I don't have a plan of what I want to talk about. It's basically, I will bullet point out what I'm going to show you guys, what I'm going to tell you guys, and if there's important shots I want to get, I'll make a wee note of them so I don't forget. But I can't script videos, so I can't write out a script of all the things I'm going to say. Again, it's a personal thing for me. One of the problems with dyslexia is a real difficulty and following chains of information. Because I'm focusing so much on one thing, the next thing gets muddled up and I struggle. So it's much better if I plan as much as I can ahead of time. And on the day, I'm just chatting to you guys like I'm just having a conversation and it's not scripted. I think I'd love to be able to script videos. Oh, it'd be so good if I could do it all in advance, but it's just not me. Hence, you get a lot of waffle and a lot of me stumbling, and look out for it in the videos in the future. When you see those sudden cuts and I'm in the same space, it's probably that I've had to cut out 20 minutes of something going wrong or me stumbling or something like that. So editing then, right. I do everything on the computer and I find having a big screen really helps me. But also I have a bit of a trick. Because you know I said I film everything myself? Well, what I do is I actually film everything in 4K. Even though I don't actually make a 4K video at the end, what you guys see on YouTube is what's called 1080p or standard HD, okay? 4K is much, much bigger. It's got so much more information in it. It does mean it's a much, much bigger file for working with. But what it allows me to do is take those big shots and I can really zoom in on things and you don't lose all the quality. And that really helps me because I'm filming myself, because I don't have the ability to come and zoom in on things. Okay, so that's awesome. But I use software called Premiere Pro. Now, you do not need to buy Premiere Pro. It's quite expensive. You do not need it. It's what I know because I use it for work and I'm comfortable with it, so it's what I use. But there is actually free software called one of those jump cuts, Shortcut. There's awesome free software called Shortcut, which you can get for PC and Mac, and it is really good. And you can do pretty much everything I do in my videos using it. So when I'm editing then, I've already used the word jump cut. All that means is I will have what's called A-roll, which is my main piece of footage. And then I will have what's called B-roll, which is an additional piece to emphasise a point. For instance, I mentioned before about when I'm kind of like filling pots and seed trays and things, you'll get a close-up shot of me doing that and it'll be my hands and things. That's B-roll, and I put that over the top of the original footage and I leave the original audio there and I use that B-roll footage just as a way of coming in close. Again, it's just to make things a bit more interesting to you guys rather than just having 45 minutes of my face staring at you, because nobody wants a lecture when they come to YouTube. If you want a lecture, come and see me at work. I will lecture the pants off you. But when you're on YouTube, you don't want that. You want a bit of fun. It's entertainment, okay? So that's why I edit like this. Now, scarily, In order to do that type of thing, where I have multiple video clips that I layer on top of each other, and sometimes I'm doing the same thing with sound and adding in time lapses and quick bits and all that kind of stuff, it does mean video editing can actually take quite a long time, and often it will take me 3 or 4 days to work on one video. So it will take me probably a good 3 or 4 hours on Saturday morning to film the video, because obviously I'm working all through the week, so the weekend is the only time we have, and that's when we work in our garden. So I'll probably half a day's worth of video when I was working in the garden, and then easily I could, especially in the last couple of weeks, I have still been editing maybe an hour before the video goes live. It's a real struggle. So it's something to think about. It does take all that time. So guys, I hope that wasn't horrendously boring. I have to go and edit this now. So yeah, let's see how that goes. Please feel free, go and have a look at all the kit I've been talking about, okay? The link's in the description to our kit store, I think they call it. It's a website. Go and have a look, and honestly, I don't mind if you want to ask any questions about this stuff, feel free, because I didn't want to put it all in the video because not everyone's interested in this type of thing. Okay, but I'm going to go get edited. I'll see you on Sunday, even though it's not Sunday and I'm here, and you know what I mean. See you guys.